I'll give you so many reasons why all drugs should be legal. One, in our country, before the war on drugs, the UK had a 90% murder rate solving. Like, that was the percentage. 90% of murders got solved in the UK. Since the war on drugs, that's dropped down to 70% because there's no resources because they're going after drugs all the time. That's the excuse the police use for why they don't go after paedophiles and grooming gangs and political paedophiles, and because they say there's no resources because everything's going into the war on drugs. And then this is the truth about the war on drugs. I even see it from a policeman. He said, any other crime, if you have burglaries in an area and you arrest the burglars, burglary stops in that area for however long until a next group of burglars come along. But it stops if you have violent or like youths and you arrest them. The violence stops. Every other crime, once you arrest them in that area, it dies down for a bit. The only one that doesn't is drugs. And I saw a policeman said that 2 years of work he done undercover to bring down a drugs ring, a drug phone line in our country. 2 years of police work, 2 years of taxpayers' money funding this. And he's like, do you want to know how long the streets was clean for? Do you want to know how long it took before another number was on the streets? 2 hours. 2 years of work, and within 2 hours, there was a new phone line up and running. And he's like, and that's the thing. When you arrest the drug gang in an area, it actually increases the violence because the two smaller ones, now it's a competition for who's going to be that top guy. Once there was a top guy, now there isn't. It causes chaos because now two, three, four people all start fighting for who's going to be the top guy. And also, that's what I mean. It doesn't stop it. Like, and the other thing is the cartels are more powerful than the Mexican government. Like, to stop that, to stop uh, them having that power, you could stop it overnight by legalizing it. Pablo Escobar says, like, in his country, for like cocaine, it was like for I don't know $400 a kilo or something. In the US back then, it was like 20, 30,000. That's a hell of a markup, and the only reason is just because it's illegal in there. So it makes everything, and that's where you get the thing. You get the black market, and it's like the American mafia made themselves off the back of prohibition. It didn't work with alcohol, but yeah, I completely. But like I say, I agree with legalizing every drug. And yeah, here's another thing about drugs. Heroin addicts are the smallest amount of drug users, but they are responsible for the majority of drug related crimes. And here's another thing, only 25% of heroin addiction is problematic. 75% of people can do heroin and live a normal life. Only 25% is problematic. So you think that you take it and not true. This all comes from the police as well. This is an ex-policeman saying it, and there's a Leaf law enforcement, no Leap law enforcement against prohibition. That's what it's called in our country, and it's all ex-police officers because no police officer as well. No police officer gets into the police. Like they want to go after the murderers and the rapists, but they can't because they've got to go and arrest some kid for smoking weed or something. Or do you know what I mean? It's like you're going after these people when there's actual worse crimes happening. And here's another thing: most heroin addicts and heroin users are were abused in when they were younger, like sexually abused, which causes them to want to escape, and they do something like heroin. Like it's not something that people go, let's go out and try heroin. That's when you really want to escape. So in order, if you stop the war on drugs and legalized it, and then went after the paedophiles, you're going to have a less problematic heroin addicts because you're now arresting and going after all the paedophiles. So all the children that were getting abused that are going to grow into, it happens all the time. If a girl gets abused when she's younger, the chances are she's going to be a street prostitute. That's just a fact. If a boy gets abused when he's younger, the chances are he's going to go into violent crime, robbing, or prostitution himself. Like, they're going to go into them. Like, he's like every criminal pretty much. The vast majority of them have that link back to child being abused as a child. So you're taking the effect of the thing and you're making it the cause. You're saying drugs is the effect of why everything's bad, when really the reason they're on drugs is because they was abused as a thing. So you're fighting them again for drugs, when if you went after the paedophiles, there's less likely to be problematic drug addicts that you're going after. You're taking the effect and making it the cause. The effect is that they're taking drugs because they was abused as children. Go after the cause, the abuse of children. Yeah, Pete Tosh, you're the man. You're the man. But like I say, I'm into legalizing all drugs, but weed's a good start because it's the most. Everybody like knows someone who smokes weed. Everybody, as well, seeing as now grandmas were in the swinging 60s now. You see old people, they grew up it when, do you know what I mean? Everyone was doing acid and mushrooms and like that's the old people now. So like, but anyway, great song, great message, and like I say, I'm behind legalizing every drug, but definitely for a good start, weed should be legal because that one is just like there's no one's ever overdosed from weed. No one smokes weed and goes and commits crime. No one does crime. You don't see anybody on the street that is there because they smoke weed. You do see people on the street that are there because they drink alcohol. You see alcoholic tramps all the time. And the reason they're there is because they've got a drink problem and they can't function no more because they're just alcoholics. You don't see that. You don't see someone in, I'm going to go and it just doesn't happen. So yeah, weed is a good place to start in the legalization, but let's just grow up. And like I say, weed actually isn't harmless because yeah, it's harmless in terms of what here. Very few crimes is committed here, but the trail of it goes back to some poor kid working under slave labourers harvesting these things in a different country. Well, not so much now. I think actually like 90% of the weed in the UK now is grown here. So, but the trail of destruction along the way, maybe like the weed and the weed smokers aren't causing any trouble or nothing wrong, but the the pathway it gets to getting here from the gangs and like it, yeah, people get hurt. So if you just take that out the hands of criminals and put it in the hands of the government, it it erases. It literally would crush the cartels overnight. But yeah, anyway, enough for on.